Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am back with another true crime video, and today we are going to be doing the story of the cousins and Tebogo Mnisi. Now, if you're new to this channel, I try and do these videos often, so please do check out the playlist. I've done a couple already, and I will be doing more in the near future. Now, before we dive into today's video, I do have a few disclaimers. First and foremost, this case is extremely new. It only just happened on the 26th of October 2025, so about 1 week ago, and therefore I do need to stress that these are still just allegations because they're yet to be tested in a court of law. In the second and possibly the most important disclaimer of the day is that I did notice quite a lot of victim blaming going on social media in the past week. I'm going to kindly request that we shy away from victim blaming in the comment section. And with that said, and without wasting any more time, let's dive into today's video. Today's video takes us to a small village called Lukau village just outside of Groblersdal in Limpopo, and subsequently will end up in Pretoria in the Gauteng province. Tshiamo Moramaga was born on the 25th of April in 2003 to mother Brenda Itumeleng in Lekau, Limpopo. She's the eldest daughter and has two younger siblings from her mother's side. She went to Lekau Primary School in her village, and thereafter she attended high school at Mujedi Secondary School in Tafakop. Just 9 months after Tshiamo was born, her mother's sister gave birth to her cousin and lifelong friend Baleseng. Baleseng Moramaga was born on the 8th of February 2004 to mother Stefina, and just like Tshiamo, she also was the firstborn and has younger siblings. She also went to Lekau Primary School with her cousin, and thereafter the girls separated for the first and last time because she went to St. Paul's Catholic School after primary school, and this is where she matriculated. The two cousins were very close from a very young age, and the 9-month gap between them allowed them to be more than just cousins but also best friends. They are described by friends and family as having been very respectful and full of life as well as ambitious from when they were very little. After completing their matric, the girls planned to move to Gauteng province in pursuit of a brighter future and more opportunities. Baleseng applied and got accepted at the University of South Africa, better known as UNISA, where she would be studying Bachelor of Education, and Tshiamo, who was more into beauty and was great at doing people's hair and nails, knew that Gauteng would provide her with an opportunity for growth in the beauty industry, and the girls moved to Gauteng. The girls rented a back room in a house in Mamelodi East in Extension 17. By 2025, 21-year-old Baleseng was now in her third year in her teaching course via UNISA and was also working part-time as a teacher's assistant and getting paid for that. Tshiamo, on the other hand, had also established herself and had clients in Tembisa and in and around Pretoria where she stayed, and also had just recently registered for a beauty therapy course specializing in hair and nails because she wanted to improve her skills and also offer her clients a larger variety of options in her service menu. The girls were slowly building themselves up, and at 21 and 22 respectively, they were able to provide their own needs via their jobs. And some of the ways that they spent their money was via shopping, and the girls loved shopping. And on top of it all, they loved dressing up in the same type of clothes. They had a very similar dress sense. They enjoyed looking the same and dressing in the same type of outfits. And according to their parents, this was from when they were very young. Now, I did wrestle a little bit with myself as to whether or not I would share the lifestyle element, especially because I noticed how the girls were being ripped into shreds on social media this past week regarding their lifestyle. So what I'll say is, did the girls like going out? Absolutely. They liked going out to restaurants, clubs, pubs, taverns, and the likes. But does it mean that they then deserved what happened to them? Because there was this narrative online that, okay, because you guys were doing A, B, and C, then this was warranted or you deserve this. I want you guys to go back and remember that in South Africa, we have a GBV problem as well as a femicide issue. Girls' lives aren't just being taken at clubs, pubs, restaurants, and taverns, but they're also being taken in other places, at school, dorms, at home, as well as at the post office. Yes, the girls liked going out. And perhaps on another day, we can have the conversation about the South African youth has a problem with consuming perhaps a lot of alcohol. But today, that's not the conversation we're having. So as I have already mentioned that the girls really enjoyed going out, and it was on one of their nights out when the girls girls first met a man named Tebogo Mnisi who was interested in Tshiamo. Tebogo Mnisi was a 38-year-old man born on the 30th of August in 1987. He worked as a bouncer and was a father of 3, and he stayed in one of the RDP houses in Mamelodi. Tebogo showed a lot of interest in Tshiamo and he pursued her, and they started dating almost immediately. Now, the relationship was not all smooth sailing. In fact, Tebogo was quite possessive of 22-year-old Tshiamo. He wanted to know her whereabouts always, and ideally, if it was completely up to him, Tshiamo would not go out at all. And to add to all of this, he was also very physical with Tshiamo, which Tshiamo's mom touched on in the aftermath.
Because like my daughter has been through this abusive relationship with the guy
So this man was very physical and wanted to control Tshiamo a lot. After all, he was much closer to Tshiamo's mom in age, because Tshiamo's mom is 42 years old and he's 38. So you can see that there's definitely an element of grooming that was playing in that field, because he was much older than her. He wanted to control her, and when he could not control her with words, then he was physical with her. And sadly, on the 26th of October 2025, he took things to a level that nobody foresaw. On the weekend of the 24th of October 2025, Tshiamo had some clients that she needed to do in Tembisa. And on top of all of that, she also had to do her mother's hair. So on the Friday, she spent her whole day in Tembisa doing clients as well as her mother, and was spending time with family. And thereafter, she then went back to Pretoria to Mamelodi. On the next day, which was Saturday, the 25th of October 2025, the girls had planned to go out on that Saturday night to a small establishment / tavern in Mamelodi East called Small Gonka, which is known to be very buzzing over the weekend, but more especially on payday weekends, which it was. The girls got ready that evening and they looked really good, and then they left at around 9:30 in the evening of the 25th of October. Small Gonka is not too far from where they stayed. It's just a few streets away, and they arrived there at around 10 p.m. that evening. As they got into the tavern, they then spotted 27-year-old Desmond Sinong. According to Desmond, they had met before about a year prior via a mutual friend. They greeted Desmond, who was sitting with his friends, and then they went to the bar. This is where they bought themselves a 6-pack of Corona and a 6-pack of Hunter's Extreme, which you guys will be able to see from the videos from that night. When they got back from the bar where they were buying the alcohol, they noticed that the tavern was quite packed. And this is when they decided that they would go up to Desmond, who was with his friends, and they would ask to join and sit with them. I'll add a small voice recording by Desmond Sinong, just explaining that first interaction with the girls. This clip is via Khomotso Modise, who's with Prime Media. She did an interview in hospital with Desmond after the incident.
Ka uma past 10 ka go tlo tswela bona banyana ba Baleseng le Tshiamo ba tsena go ba mpona ke le go khoneng le majitane ke lona mo tafoleng, so bandumedisha so ba sa tsho ba ya countereng go ba jwang ba aba bua kua ba tla gona kua ke ne le majitane a tle ba gukele 6 ya Corona, the 6 ya Extreme.
So after the girls had joined Desmond and the friends, everyone was having a good time, and you could tell from this video. They were having a good time, they were smoking their habli, they were having their drinks, they were dancing to music, all seemed to be well. Little did they know that Tebogo Mnisi, Tshiamo's boyfriend, was also inside Small Gonga that night, and he was watching from a distance. And about 4 hours later, around 2 a.m., he then called Tshiamo and asked her to come to him. And the two of them then stood outside by the gate for a while and they were talking. Little is really known about the details of the exact conversation they were having, but things looked a little bit tense from a distance. During this time, Baleseng had remained at the table with Desmond and his friends. And at some point, Desmond went outside with Baleseng, and the plan was that they were going to move to a second location. The time now was around 2 a.m. Desmond then needed to go back inside the tavern to call one of his friends. He then went towards the door and started screaming, basically shouting for his friend to come out. And it was at this moment that Tebogo Mnisi, who was standing with Tshiamo, basically told Desmond that, "Hey, uyarasa," translating to, "You're making a noise." Desmond paid no mind to this. He just laughed it off. He didn't really reply. Little did he know that this man, he was so upset with him already because he was hanging out with his girl for about 4 hours prior. So he didn't know all of this. He was just thinking, oh, this man is just, he's drunk or whatever, and he's just saying he's making a noise. So after this interaction, Desmond and Baleseng then decided to start walking to a second location. It's around 2:30 a.m. in the morning at this point. They start walking from Small Gonga, and they were walking towards the direction of Baleseng and Tshiamo's rented room. So at this point, they had left Tshiamo behind because she was with her boyfriend. Baleseng obviously knew that Tshiamo was with her boyfriend. She knew the boyfriend really well, so according to her, she was safe. But the two girls did not stop communicating via SMS during that time. In one of the SMSs between the girls, Tshiamo shares with Baleseng that, Tebogo has started with his things. And this communication is while Baleseng and Desmond are walking the streets of Mamelodi. Shortly thereafter, Tebogo and Tshiamo then got into Tebogo's car from Small Gonga, and at this point, Tebogo is still upset about everything that had happened that night. And he then started driving, looking for where Baleseng and Desmond were. He drove around and then found Baleseng and Desmond walking down the streets. And this is when Tebogo then stopped his car right next to them. He then got out of the car, very angry, and cocked his 9mm. Tebogo then fires at Desmond's private parts. This alone can tell you the state of mind that this man was at, because who fires at someone's private parts? So he fired at Desmond's private parts from the front, and obviously now Desmond was alarmed, he was shocked. So his immediate instinct was that he should run. He then started running, and then he fired again aiming at his private parts, but this time from the back. Then Desmond started running a little bit more. Now what I'll do is that I'll play a voice recording of Desmond explaining this moment. This recording is once again from Khomotso Modise, who did an interview with Desmond in hospital.
Tshiamo ka mo ke passenger fihla go Tebogo o phirika goleng o bula lebati o khoka sethunya o mpeta ha bolele selo le nna ke po napile Tshiamo re Tebogo dia nna ke a tshaba ke jikela go merao a ke jika soke ibile ke ga hlale majita manga a goloi o ka re ke pholo na ba butse mnyako so ba kole sethunya sela ka kitima ke tsena ka go pholo ba kwalla menyako la ba tshaba nna ka feta ka tsamaya go goelela ke tima ampethile cause o ka re pethile ka one mo a ke jika so ampetha ka engwe ka mmara.
As you heard, he then tried approaching a polo that was parked nearby. And because of the time it was around 2 a.m. And the people in the polo closed their doors and started driving off, possibly because they were scared themselves, because this man, obviously, he's dripping in blood, is running. And so unfortunately, they didn't help him. So he had to start running a little bit more. So in his thinking, Desmond said that possibly Tebogo is going to chase after him. So this is when he started jumping from house to house, trying to lose his trail so that he could get help as soon as possible. This is when he heard 2 other shots. Unfortunately, it is believed that this is when Tebogo was then firing at the 2 girls. Neighbors who were close by say that they heard Tshiamo and Tebogo arguing. And before he had fired at Tshiamo and Baleseng, he had then said something to the effect of, "Stop it, because you are going to push me to make mistakes." Sadly, regardless of the fact that he was conscious of the fact that what he was doing was a mistake or was wrong at some level, he went on and did it nonetheless. He fired at the 2 girls and he then left them on the side of the road. Fortunately for Desmond, he was able to eventually get help and he was then taken to hospital and his life was saved. Tragically for the girls, they lost their lives at the exact spot and they were discovered by neighbors a little bit later in the morning. So although the whole thing happened around 2:30 in the morning, their bodies remained on the scene until the late hours of the morning. So by 9 a.m., 10 a.m., when people were awake and walking up and down the road, they were still there. And people were taking videos. I saw so many videos that are so heartbreaking on social media. Obviously, I'm not going to be showing them here. They remained uncovered until the forensic came. And I understand that obviously the rule of thumb is not to tamper with a crime scene. With the case of Olorate that I did a couple of months ago, the neighbors took a blanket and they just covered her up just for dignity's sake, right? They didn't tamper with anything. They just put the blanket over her. And I think that can be the right thing to do. But I don't know. Obviously, this is arguable because, again, it is a crime scene. People took pictures, people took videos, and they posted them on social media. And I think it takes away from the victim. Some of the neighbors then took it upon themselves because they saw that the videos are being posted on social media, took it upon themselves to try and scramble and look for the parents' number. And luckily, the lady that they rented from had the contact details, I believe, and they were able to get a hold of Baleseng's mom and tell her what happened. And then it was Baleseng's mom who then called Tshiamo's mom to then also tell her what had happened to the girls. And this is how she explains it.
Friday ngalethembisa songenza inwele njengoba ngisho ukuthi usebenza khona ukwenza inwele nensipho like so bakazokwenza inwele ngalethembisa so ubuye izolo abuya ngapha ePitori khona la bahlala khona manje sizwa sengibizwa mina ekuseni ukuthi iwoza uzobona ngapha mara abangitshela ukuthi mangifika uthola ukuthi abantwana bashonile boyi-2 ngoba bakhula boyi-2 vele bona bahlezi beqoka ukufana nalami ibona khona ngizobabona baqoka into efanayo umntwana kasisi wami omunye omunye wami so ngithola ukuthi ama-professionals sebafikile base babafake emotweni almost bebase bahamba then ngabacela ukuthi ngifuna ukubabona ababona umuntu utuleke inhloko omunye utuleke chestini yakhe so ngishathetha ngazi ngithini ngoba like lento lehleli yenzeka too much ukuthi abantwana bayabulala especially abantwana bamantombazana I don't know abantwana bebaseyikolweni bazofunda lana like isiluzile kakhulu.
And very soon after, the story was all over social media. It had gone viral. And there were a lot of fake news around the story. They then started this whole thing that, no, these girls drank someone's 10,000 rands alcohol and then they didn't want to go home with them. And this is why they had lost their lives. And that story kind of went everywhere. The story in itself, now with the embellishment of this 10,000 rand, went viral. A lot of people were just pushing the narrative. It's so sad that we live in times where we don't care who the source is, as long as we can be the first to tell the story. People just want to be first to tell the story. I saw a big blogger, Popcorn Room, on Instagram posted this 10K narrative, but I'm like, who's the source? No news outlet is speaking about 10,000 rands. But on the ground, there's 10,000 rands. Where is it coming from? That man did not spend 10,000 rands on anyone. The girls got to small gonga. They paid for their own alcohol. There was never 10,000 rands alcohol. But in South Africa, it's just so easy to pass fake news. And it's something that we really need to look at. And in what I could only term as foreshadowing is Baleseng's last post on TikTok. And this was in October, the same month that she passed away. She posted herself, she's paying a bill, she's writing on the bill, she's probably putting a tip. And her caption actually is some sort of foreshadowing because she writes on the caption, "Big girls pay for their own bills." It's like she knew. It's like she knew what was coming. But when I read the comments on this particular post, a lot of people are like, this will never go viral. No one will ever share this because it doesn't speak to the narrative that they want to push, that these girls were going around taking people's money and they were dating people for money and whatever, 10,000 rands. That post would never go viral. After the girls had been taken away by the forensics, the police had started investigating the case. The people from Mamelodi really wanted to take things into their own hands. They knew who had done this. They then decided to go to his house. Neighbors say that men came, they had covered their faces, armed, and they basically told all the other neighbors around Tebogo's house to go inside. They then went into Tebogo's house, they set it alight, and they went away. The other neighbors then put out the fire, but for the most part, the house had been burnt down. Because the case had gone viral, and I have this theory that when the case is viral, police tend to work a little bit harder than normal, but that is my personal theory. Nonetheless, fortunately, the police were able to get onto the case quite quickly, and within 2 days, Tebogo was arrested at a petrol filling station in Pretoria. The next day, he made his first appearance in court where he requested the assistance of legal aid lawyers because he could not afford one of his own. He also opted not to apply for bail, stating that he was fearing for his life. And in another moment that went viral on social media, and this is a moment that is quite disturbing, Tebogo was crying, all right? He was crying. A lot of the comments were like, oh no, this man is so remorseful. He's probably being framed. He didn't do it. We can see that he didn't do it. A lot of other people were still peddling this 10K notion that, of course, he really had to do what he did. His 10K was gone. Honestly, after I saw those comments, I was like, society really needs to decide. Are we on the side of the perpetrator or are we on the side of the victim? Because you can't tell me just because someone is crying on the stand, now we're feeling sorry for him, we're calling him remorseful, saying that he's probably framed. Of course you're going to cry on the stand. You could be crying for many other reasons besides remorse. Fear of consequences. The weight of what you have done is now weighing on you. Self-pity. Loss of normal life. And the list could go on and on and on. And obviously there could be a part of you that's remorseful. But that is not enough for us to say that, oh, well, we feel sorry for you. Like, people were making these weird posts on social media that I was like, no, society does not know what they want. This man was physical with Tshiamo way before he did what he did. And he just needs to face the consequences. He is currently facing 5 charges, 2 counts of taking the life of Baleseng and Tshiamo, 1 count of attempting to take the life of Desmond, 1 count of possession of the 9mm, and then 1 count of possession of ammunition. The case has been postponed until the 19th of January of 2026, and he will remain in custody until then. Baleseng and Tshiamo were laid to rest on the 1st of November 2025 in a beautiful send-off. And that is where we'll be leaving today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one.